Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about midsummer. We're going to talk about the summer solstice, which is coming up now this Saturday on the 21st of July. And I was a little bit in doubt about when to shoot this video because we had the midsummer full moon on the 11th, just last week. And I actually first intended to have a video before that, right? Because this midsummer full moon was quite an important one, and we had all of this like qualities and emotions and things coming through on the full moon, on the midsummer full moon. But somehow I kind of had to like live through it and experience it and like feel about what did it do to me and what was happening in my own life and what energies were coming through before I understand it enough so I can actually explain it to you. So that is why this video is a bit later. So let's dive in. The first topic on my list is where are we at in the year? I really like to start my videos always like this so we can kind of like orientate ourselves about where are we exactly, where are we located in the cycle of the year. And we are at the longest day. I think everyone really knows what the summer solstice means. It means the longest day of the year. We have the shortest night. And especially here in the north, I myself live still below the Arctic Circle, so we don't really experience the midnight sun here, but it doesn't get dark either. So even though the sun sets where I live, it's still light all night long. Summer solstice is of all cultures, south, north, east and west. It has been seen back in stone constructions, very old stone constructions all over the world. It is still seen as a very large tradition in many cultures, in many countries. So this is not unique to Norway at all. It is just that the more north you live, the larger you will see like the seasonal changes and the changes in the light. And I always found that the more north I have lived, the more sensitive I became to like this little like interseasonal shifts. The more obvious it becomes. And the more north I have been, the more I have been in tune with the cycle of the year and with all the little varieties that it brings along, not only in what we see out in nature, but also the energies we experience in the cycles we move through in our body. And you can really say that we are at the height of the year. We are most projected outwards because I do feel really connected with the pre-Christian habits of the people that lived where I am living today, and which you can actually find back in most of northwest and large parts of Europe, right? Most of the important festivals and seasonal shifts happening in the cycle of the year were actually connected to full moons and new moons. Some of these festivals have a really large connection with the new moon, especially the darkest day, beginning of winter time, where we celebrate the darkest nights. But a lot of these were happening on the full moon. And like I just mentioned in the beginning of this video, we had the midsummer full moon, the real start of the longest night that we have on the 11th of June. And that is really when I would say I love to use the word portal because it really feels like a very strong energetic time frame where we can see really clear that we are cycling through specific lessons, that we are cycling through specific focus almost. And we have this wonderful period of almost 10 days here between the full moon and the astrological day, between the 11th and the 21st, which gives us this very large, wonderful period where we can experience the lightest night or the longest day. Now, where lies this? Because I am talking about the midsummer full moon. What came before this was the Beltane full moon, right? And before that we had the 3 moons of spring and we had the Yule full moon. We actually already celebrated the beginning of the summer half year on the previous full moon, but on this full moon it really came into maturity. Now, where does that bring us in our bodies? I love to always discuss where we actually are in the body itself. There was a fly on the lens. It's crazy with insects this time of year, really. I'm getting eaten alive here. It's my sacrifice to you at this midsummer. I'm literally giving my blood here. Now, what is a wonderful way to connect with the body? And I really always like to start with the Breathcycle, because you can actually really see that the cycle of the year could be one cycle of the breath, right? And then at midwinter, at the longest nights, we are actually at the full in-breath. And I really want you to try this, just like for a few breaths, like deeply in and out. Breathe very deeply in and hold it, and then very slowly start exhaling. And the spring equinox is where you have the breath halfway, right? It's actually very easy to hold your breath halfway. Like if you breathe deeply in and you're going to start exhaling, you exhale only 50%. It's very easy to hold the breath at 50%. Now, if you start exhaling even more, and we come to the beginning of summertime, it's represented around the 1st of May, around the Beltane period. Now we're almost like at 3/4 of out-breath. Try to hold the breath at 3/4 of out-breath. You will see that your body is like almost begging you to release that last 25% of air. It is quite difficult to hold your breath at this point. And this last exhale, this last part of the exhale, from 25% to 0 in your lungs, it's very easy, it's very effortlessly, it goes very fast. It feels like it's 25%, doesn't really feel like 25%. It maybe feels like, oh, there's just like one little sigh of air left. And if you also notice how quick is time going from the 1st of May until the summer solstice, right? Like it really feels like energy and life and the way we feel time is really sped up a little bit. Have you noticed this? It's very interesting too. If you start like noticing this little like differences in how we feel and experience things, right? Now, practice this a couple of times, see where we are at the breath. And when we completely breathe out, we are also completely relaxing. Right, it's a very common technique. Like if you experience pain, or you get maybe like a shot at the doctors, or you're getting tattooed even, or you're going to dive in cold water, it really helps to like work with the breath. It's with the exhale that you will find it very easy that you can consciously relax your body, like letting all the air out, relaxing all the muscles at the same time. And this is almost what's happening at the midsummer period as well, whereas at the midwinter period, right? At the midsummer period, we are completely exhaling. Our focus lies completely on the projected world, on our projected part of ourselves, on the outside part of ourselves, and we really experience the seeing of. And at the same time, we are relaxing. We're not building up anything, but just experiencing what was created. And therein lies also the first challenge. The first challenge is actually, do you let yourself relax? Do you let yourself sink into the body? Do you let yourself experience what we are seeing, what is projected? Because it is not always easy to do that. There's always stuff we see that we are not happy with. There's always stuff there that we don't want it to be there. And there's also a bunch of stuff missing that we want it to be there and it's not there. So it is not easy to like see and accept and sink in and relax. But that is what we are invited to do so by the body. Now, at what energetical point are we at? Now, that is most definitely the heart. We are right at the heart space. If you have watched my previous videos, and especially the one that came before this, the one about Beltane, Beltane is all about the power center. It is all about the navel point and the navel center and the third important energy point of the body. Now we have come to the heart. We have come to the heart. And the journey we are taking in the power center of the body up towards the heart, this is not an easy journey. The heart is the midway between the lower energy centers and the higher energy centers. And the heart center is really representing a gateway. It's also, I really love the word portal. I just love that word, because when we are at the heart and we are at the center point between the lower and the higher energy centers, we are as much connected to the earth as we are to the heavens. We are as much connected to our roots, our ancestry, our past, as we are to our ethereal lifeline, to our higher potential, and to the all other dimensions that we come from. We are as much connected to the earth we are living on today and to our home of the universe. And this heart space, a really beautiful metaphor, or the way I feel it, is that the heart space also really represents the midpoint in the tree of life, or Yggdrasil, if you want to call it that way. We are as much connected to the underworlds as to all the worlds above us. We are really at the center point, we are at the gateway, and we really have the choice here to travel all directions. We really have the opportunity and the possibility here, we have the choice here to go all the stages we want and to connect all these places, right? It is not as much of a question as, where will I go from here? The question is more of, all of the doorways have opened up. I can see in every little direction, how can I connect them? And by connecting them, we are really bringing wisdom from one place to another. We bring them different perspectives together. And if you have different perspectives, then you can watch towards one single thing. If you look at all the perspectives together and you can zoom out and you see the complete picture, how much richness and wisdom lies in that. Do you realize that? Do you realize the opportunity you have at the heart space, at the center point of the tree of life? We have the possibility here to connect the roots, our roots, to the wisdom from above. And really make the interlink there. So I really love to work with the tree of life at this point of the year. When we are talking about the Yggdrasil, or the tree of life, I also quickly want to very shortly talk about how do we see Midsummer coming back in the pre-Christian period? Because obviously Midsummer always has been celebrated as long as we know in the history of humanity, and it is still celebrated in many, many ways in different cultural traditions and different religious traditions. But how do we see it back in the pre-Christian world of Europe? And especially if you look here in the north, in the northwest, you will actually find almost no records of Midsummer being something. There was not something that was given to us from the past that was called the Midsommarblot. But if you look at how the lives of these people were built, it actually does make a lot of sense. And this is something I learned in one of the courses I took, and I honestly can't remember in which course, in which lesson, by which teacher I got this information. If I find it, I will post it below. And also if you're watching this and you know more about sources, we can just give them to other people, right? Just comment down below. But if you look at how the lives of these people here in Scandinavia and the northwest of Europe was built up, it's very logical that we see so many important and big celebrations and big bloods in the winter half year, and almost nothing in the summer half year. Now this makes a lot of sense because in the summer half year, so many people were traveled away. So many people were journeying, so many people were sailing out for all kind of different reasons, right? So there was not so many people at home. Like a lot of the young and fit and able-bodied people who had no responsibilities to stay or keep them at home were traveled away. So how can you have big celebrations when 50% of the people is gone? So it makes a lot of sense if you think about it this way, right? And the people who stayed at home, they had a lot to do, right? Agronomically, this is a very important time of the year to grow food, to take care of your crops, to take care of your animals. If you look at it this way, it does make a lot of sense that we don't find records of big midsummer celebrations. But that aside, you all know I am not a spiritual reenactor, right? It's much more important to connect with general energies that the body and the universe is inviting us into at this time of the year. So what are some important midsummer lessons I want you to think about at this beautiful period of the year? And the first one I already mentioned when talking about the Breathcycle, and it is learning how to relax. It is learning how to be. Like I said, we are at the bridge right now. We are at the bridge between past and future, roots and heavens. At the heart space, we are at the center of all the pathways, and we are really invited, of all the points in the year, this is the most important one, we are invited to look at the present moment, to stand really focused, consciously focused into the here and the now, We are invited to open the heart, see what is projected, how is our life playing out, how is our life presented towards us, and it is to really stand still and see it. And it requires so much bravery to open the heart in this way. Opening the heart is a very vulnerable process. It opens for all sorts of emotions. It opens yourself to pain, to sorrow, to joy. And so it does require a lot of energy to open up our heart and see what is, right? We are not always happy with how things are played out. There are so many things in our life that we are happy with, that we are so happy that it's there. But there's also so many things that maybe are missing that we wish was there. And there's also so many things that are there and we actually don't like at all. We have the invitation here to really see life, your projection, your outward projection. How is it? And we are invited to accept it and see it as it is. It doesn't really matter if you're happy with it or not. So all the feelings coming through, they will come through, right? Because if you open the heart, you will experience all these emotions. But we are invited to zoom out, like I said, with all the portals and the doors. We are invited to zoom out of all the perspectives, like see it from above a little bit and accept it as it is. The Midsummer portal is not a moment for wishing, manifesting, trying to change things, working through things. The Midsummer portal is here for you. See and accept. We are here to receive. We are here to open up and receive. And it's really a gift from ourselves, right? It is really like all this projection, our outer projection, is really a gift from us to us. And we are really zooming out here onward our whole life. And it's like we are saying towards ourselves, here is your life, this is your life, look at it. Can you accept that? Can you receive this gift you actually are giving to yourself? And also, if you look around you, all the abundance we see in nature around the midsummer period, there's so many wildflowers. You can't really see them now on camera, but there's so many wildflowers around. Like, life is really like booming, maturing, like showing all its colors. And it looks so beautiful from afar. But if you start to look closely, not one single flower is perfect, right? My garden is full of insects that are bothering me, but it's still so beautiful. So that is the first lesson. See it, accept it, open your heart and receive this gift. Now, the second lesson that Midsummer is bringing us is actually a moving through from what we started at Beltane. And this year I already talked about a lot, like in my previous 3 or 4 videos, I think, because it's a theme that has really started in the beginning of the year. And it is a theme of like anger and frustration and like this personal powerlessness. And if you look at the world, how crazy it is. And it's really understandable that we are angry. And it's mostly like this very feminine or female anger and frustration that I feel coming through in the world right now. And it was so strong around like the beginning of May period, because we were really in that fire center and we are really working with that fire. But now this fire is coming up through the heart, and I really invite you to watch my previous video, because this will make so much more sense to you if you go and watch that one first. You're really coming from the fire center up into the heart with all this fire, with all this frustration, with all this anger. And like I told countless times before, nothing good comes from dividing emotions into good and bad boxes. I really invite you to zoom out always. All emotions have their place, should be seen, respected, and expressed. Okay? Don't box things up. Now, first of all, anger and frustration comes really from a place of powerlessness. We are annoyed that we perceive a situation that can't be changed. We have an undesirable situation and we feel like we have no power to change it. That is why we are angry or frustrated, right? Now, stepping from the fire center into the heart is really a journey of maturity. Frustration and being annoyed is such like a teenager emotion almost, right? If you would put, like I did with the Breathcycle, if you would put the cycle of the year next to the cycle, let's say a woman's life, because the first part of the year really celebrates more female qualities and the second part of the year really celebrates more male qualities. So let's take the life of one woman. At the beginning of February, she's born. At the spring equinox, that is actually where she would bleed for the first time, where she would turn from a child into a girl. At the Beltane period, the beginning of summer, is where she matures from a girl into a woman, and also where you could very easily say like she becomes sexually active, right? That's where she starts interacting with the world. Now the summer solstice is actually maybe the point where she would get married or like settle down. I mean, this is a very cliche. Like I know all lives are like this. All lives should not be like this, right? But you can almost say that is where she matures. She matures from being like an exploring girl, of an exploring young woman, into like a woman who is very strong on her feet. Now, moving up from the fire to the heart is really a journey of maturing. It is really a journey of, if I see things that frustrate me, like, can I deal with it differently than just screaming in frustration? Do I have a very mature way to dealing with my emotions? All right, do I know myself enough to know how I can deal with all sorts of different emotions moving through me? Do I have this internal personal power that lets me see where are emotions coming from, where do they originate, why are they moving through me like this, do I accept they are moving through me like this, and what is the way forward to deal with it? This is really an emotional maturity, and the Midsummer really invites you to work on emotional maturity. When we are talking about this anger and frustration, it is so present this year in 2025 in the world, is female or feminine. You're so angry about so many things, and we have every right to be so angry. How do we translate this on the way to the heart? Now, again, the heart is a gateway. We have the roots and the heavens connected. And if you watch my previous video, I talked about how important it is to stay grounded, to know where you are coming from, to know where the emotions are coming from, to know the source. In that video, I also talked a lot about sisterhood. It is so important for growing people, and this is not only applicable to girls, it's applicable to boys as well, to really like have this sisterhood. This supported, I am not alone, I am safe with my emotions, I am supported by the group. Now the Midsummer is all about stepping into personal power, because if you look at this perceived powerlessness and you trace back the emotion to where it originates, then you can kind of see that this powerlessness really just comes from having bad boundaries or from having made specific choices. And even if you're choosing between two undesirable things, you are still having a choice. Even if you choose to not do anything, that also still is a choice. So this is really a story about owning up the choices you have made, owning up to the boundaries you have set or not set. And it's really seeing that how, if I make different choices from now on in the future, or I set different boundaries, or I interact with people in different situations in a different way, and how can that result in the situation changing? So I invite you to explore this personal power you have. I invite you to explore the personal choices you have made in the past, even if you were not aware of these personal choices, even if you're not aware of the boundaries you did or did not set. This is for you a wake-up call to see, how did it result? How does my life present itself right now because of the choices I made in the past? And how can I use this moment as a gateway to maybe choose a different way? It is a reality check. It is a wake-up call. And it is really asking you, life is really asking you right now, look around in nature, life is asking you to mature. It is asking you for emotional maturity, to stepping into your power. You have to decide who you want to be, what choices you want to make, and how you want to get from A to B. How do you want to be in relationship to the world? And sometimes even you can't see a way from A to B, right? You really want one thing, but you're stuck between two bad choices. But sometimes you have to choose one thing, and that will open up another choice, and then you can choose another thing. And you're choosing and choosing and choosing, and by the time you have chosen for the 100th time, you will find a way to where you want to be. Right? So even if it's only choice, if your only choice right now is bad and worse, still make it. You are still very strongly in power to choose between bad and worse. Own it. Own yourself. Look at yourself and bloom. Be proud. Pull your shoulders back. Open your chest. Be proud. Stand in your power. Own the choices you have made in the past. Does that make sense? a gathering with people around the midsummer is really a celebration of life. It is really saying that I see you and I see you and I see you, and you are not perfect and you are not perfect and I am not perfect. We're gathering in the circle anyway, and I love you all anyway. This is really accepting life as it is and showing it in the closest relationship we have with life, and that lies in relations. Now, another very practical thing, that are the hands. The hands are connected with the heart. The hands are really energetic lengthening of the heart space. What do we do with our hands? We are typing emails every single day. We are typing messages on our phone. We are making comments on all sorts of things, hopefully not rude comments. We are giving, we are receiving, we are touching other people, we are giving handshakes, we are giving hugs. And everything we do with hands is really a connection with the heart. So now around the midsummer, this portal we have now, you have to be very careful what you do with your hands. Lay a lot of intention with your hands. If you're making food, be intentional with how you use your hands in making food. If you're sending messages, be intentional and careful there as well. And then the last one is to really start to activate the voice. From this moment in the year, we will start traveling up from the heart, from the open heart, and we will start up traveling to the throat. We are stepping into our personal power, and this will directly influence how we express ourselves. So voice activations. Sing songs. This is so easy. If you're gathering a group of people, make like a little booklet with 5 songs and just sing them together. We really have lost the art of singing songs together, and we are so shy and scared and awkward. We don't need to be so, because singing songs is so powerful. And it doesn't even need to be like some sort of yogic mantra singing, right? It can be just like midsummer songs. So at least that is why, because I am also planning my own midsummer gathering in a few days. So I'm really in the preparations for that. And yes, we will do all sorts of meditations, and we will have a ceremony, and we have all sorts of things. But what I will most intention in, and what I actually look forward for the most, is in the evening where we'll enjoy, sit around the fire and sing songs together. This is what it's all about, practically real life. So really, that is maybe the biggest tip I can give you at this time of the year. Right, but at this moment I am as good as eaten alive by all the insects. So I think I will end the video now. I think I have told you everything I thought was very important to discuss. Then I wish you a wonderful midsummer celebration, and I will talk to you again soon.